Good morning, my fellow officers, members of the Executive Committee, members of the Board of Governors, justices, judges, Georgia lawyers, staff, guests, family, and friends. I am honored to have this opportunity to share with you this morning my program initiatives as I take the helm of the State Bar of Georgia. As I begin my remarks, I want to let you know that I'm expecting you to be listening for how you can become more involved and how you can volunteer your time, your talent, your treasure, and your energy as we roll out our programs. I'm going to take just a personal privilege to acknowledge 5 folks in this room. With my family, my mother, my sister, my father, his wife, and my husband. Please stand. This is just diversion. Yeah, thank you for coming. This is not so much about them and me today, but I just want to let you know that they were here, and I appreciate them being here. This year, our immediate past president, Buck Ruffin, focused on the celebration of major milestones in history, including commemorating the 225th anniversary of the ratification of the Constitution of the United States and the 50th anniversary of the formation of the Unified Mandatory Bar in Georgia. My installation as the 52nd president of the State Bar continues to focus on historical moments. As I take office, I will become the first person of color and the first African American to have the honor to serve as president of our professional institution. I am proud that my peers believe that I am deserving of the privilege and capable of serving you and the citizens of Georgia who count on our bar to protect them. But my remarks this morning are less about me and who I am, and more about what we're going to do together this year at the State Bar. I do not take the responsibility of being president lightly. I have been working very hard at developing my plans for the 2014-2015 bar year with a team of dedicated lawyers and friends who helped me shape my programs for next year and have committed to assisting me with the implementation of the same. Team members, you know who you are. I thank you for all of the time and energy that you have provided toward this effort. Luke 12:48 says, "For everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. And from one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked." The practice of law is not a right. It is a privilege in our state that is granted to you once you pay your dues as a member of the State Bar of Georgia and you obtain your license to practice law. However, along with that privilege comes a moral obligation to ensure that all citizens of this great state, of our great state, have reasonable access to legal services. Those of us honored with the privilege have a duty and a responsibility to make sure that everyone has access to a lawyer when they come into court. No one should lack the access to this valuable legal service during the time that they are most vulnerable. Can you imagine anybody in your family proceeding to try and get out of a violent relationship, obtain a divorce, try to get child support to support the daily needs of the day-to-day expenses of a child, or to even get a guardianship over a senior incapacitated adult without the assistance of a lawyer? Many citizens experience great difficulty just trying to navigate the legal system without a lawyer. They often walk away from the experience with a negative attitude toward the legal profession as a whole and a lack of confidence in our system of justice. As lawyers, we must strive to reduce, we already have enough, we must strive to reduce any negative perceptions of the practice of law and of lawyers. And we also must work to make certain that we do not allow a system to exist that will take advantage of people who are able to not able to afford lawyers because of the folks who are able to afford a lawyer, just not allowing them the full access to just justice. We can do better. We as leaders of the bar need to fully support Georgia Legal Services, Atlanta Legal Aid, and other legal service agencies who are out there trying to fill the needs of the underserved. What have you done to support these existing organizations? Did you realize it was your responsibility? In addition to making a financial contribution, however, and agreeing to take on pro bono cases for these agencies, there are several options that we as a group can initiate to address the problem of legal defense for indigent and marginally employed Georgians, because there are a lot more people in our state who cannot afford a lawyer, but they are working. But the jobs in which they are employed are marginally minimum wage jobs, and they have large families. And that increases the stress on the legal system when people who are unemployed don't have a lawyer, and people who are employed don't have the financial wherewithal to get a lawyer go into court. Not only do you as lawyers complain about the backlog in the caseload, these same citizens who are voting members of our state complain to their legislators about the injustices that they've experienced at the hands of lawyers because they didn't have the ability to pay for them. This year I plan to do the following three things. Beyond these first two, I'll tell you the first two because this is going to permeate, and it should permeate every year. It's going to permeate through my year. You're going to hear it over and over again. You're going to get tired of hearing it. I am going to encourage you as leaders of our profession. That's what you all are. 159 elected leaders of the professions from the districts in which you represent, the circuits. You got to donate and raise funds for these organizations in order to help them meet the needs of indigent people in order to take care of those people's needs. Our Bar Association was formed 50 years ago with the first purpose is to take care of the public. That was purpose number one. I wasn't even here, at that time. I also want to encourage you as leaders to lead by example in the provision of pro bono legal services, personally and through your firms. There is no reason why we need to come up every year and say, okay, you're a member of the Board of Governors and you don't get, do you have your purple, or they change the colors, your purple badge, your green badge, showing that you have given to Georgia Legal Services? Give. They give it to you when you give $100 or $25. But by giving 25, you as a leader have committed to protect other people's ability to have access to justice. And it starts with us. It doesn't start in the legislature. We have the privilege. We have the monopoly. We have responsibility. The first main program initiative dealing with this initiative number one, providing reasonable access to a lawyer once they can afford to get some monies for it, is to assure that there's a lawyer in every county. We've heard this over and over again, that there are 6 counties in Georgia without a lawyer. Shame on us. Shame on us. Can you imagine what life is like in those 6 counties for people who have no resources, who don't own a car, who can't get on a MARTA bus for those people in Atlanta and go somewhere to get help? Where they don't have a Georgia Legal Services office, where they don't have the equivalent of Atlanta Legal Aid. Shame on us for allowing that number to be repeated over and over again without one county dropping off the list. This year we're going to do something about it. We're going to deal with creating a program very much like what is done with the medical profession, where you send out practitioners in underserved areas. They have to work there for a certain number of years, and an incentive is provided to them to stay there. That incentive is generally a reduction in some type of tuition or debt associated with law school. And so we're going to do that. We're going to implement that. We're going to roll it out. And next year, you're not going to stand up here and tell me there's 6 counties in Georgia without a lawyer. They may only have one, but with the number of law school graduates who are coming out without options for jobs. We got 6 jobs waiting, and we need to support and work with their local community to support them. This is where my background will help a little bit. I'm involved with economic development, and on the economic development board. I'm going to personally go to those 6 counties, talk to their economic development officers, and say, hey, law firms and businesses, they're entitled offices, assistants, whatever you can do to give them an economic foothold in your county in order to encourage them to stay. So I want you to know, next year we're not going to have 6 counties in Georgia without lawyers. I'm also working, and I have talked to Chief Justice Thompson about this. The Supreme Court is very supportive of us trying to figure out ways in which to make certain we accommodate people throughout the state. Why are we doing this? It's the right thing. Yes. Why are we doing it? It is our responsibility for the privilege we have to practice law. The next thing I'm going to do, my next initiative, is I'm going to encourage us, well, not part of this initiative, sorry, Sarah, I blew it. Part of the first initiative is I'm going to encourage the adoption of the applicable recommendations of the Civil Legal Services Task Force because they're looking into funding solutions. We're also going to continue to work with the Supreme Court to make certain that the courses of action that I'm proposing that we adopt are what they need to see. They want us to be aggressive. We haven't done it. We need to be aggressive. We need to fix the problem. And we are creative people. We are intelligent people. And I am so optimistic about our abilities to just solve this one little slice of the problem. My second initiative, thank you, Sarah. In addition to working to ways to improve access to justice by indigent and marginally employed citizens, I also plan to reach out to the next generation of young people to help enhance their education on the importance of their rights as citizens. Civics instructions in our classrooms, high schools, and middle schools have been severely cut. And I plan to help introduce the iCivics program that was developed by Justice Sandra Day O'Connor to our middle schools and high schools in various places throughout the state of Georgia. My plan is to use this interactive computer-based program in 8th and 9th graders' classrooms. We have 5 school systems who are ready to roll out with it this year. We're going to use this as a pilot program to see how we can expand it to other systems. But since they're not paying for the curriculum, they're not paying any more money for the teachers, they are not paying any extra to use this program, what we are going to provide at the bar is some training on the program and how to use it optimally by the teachers. And we're also going to provide lawyers to help assist the teachers a couple of times a month, drop by the classroom, reinforce the learning experiences with real-world cases, talk to them about what's going on in the practice of law, affecting their right to vote, how a bill gets passed, the Constitution. All of these things are part of the iCivics program, which Justice O'Connor initiated throughout the country. I am working with a group of folks who had this program already on the books, but we had not rolled it out. Justice Carol Hunstein is our state coordinator of the iCivics program. Evelyn Davis and Ashley Hurd are 2 attorneys who have served as the coordinators for it. And all I'm doing is being the motor to get it going and running. And so we are rolling out with our first training class for the Atlanta public school system on July 29th. And we are going to provide instructions to those social studies teachers from South Carolina who adopted the program 2 years ago. The coordinator for that program is coming to train. We have visions to do this in Tifton, Columbus, Atlanta, Decatur City Schools, and we're going to try Savannah, but the others are already we're working with. And we're working with lawyers who represent those school districts to help implement this program. So we're working on a lot of different fronts to make a difference in the next generation. My belief is that we will build a stronger citizenry, and we will build a stronger bar and a connection of the bar to our educational institutions as a result of our outreach, just because we care. Finally, I hope that you will join me to increase the relevance and awareness of our state bar and its benefits to our members. Some of you remember that I conducted a survey in January to just collect information from our members on a wide variety of topics. That trip, for example, was one of them. And the group came back with Brazil. It would be an understatement for me to say that I was surprised by some of the revelations that the survey showed regarding the members, our members' lack of knowledge about what our state bar does and why it's even relevant to them. Our members. I have gone throughout the state as I was secretary and treasurer, speaking to various bar associations from north to south, and I want you to know that they don't even know how much the dues are, and they didn't know what we spent it on until I started talking about pie charts and graphs about where the money goes. They just know they have to pay the dues. And that's unfortunate. I believe we can do better. I actually believe that we can do much better with our own members. I hope to reverse this dynamic by reaching out to members of the bar to communicate with them more effectively about the operations of our bar, services offered by the bar, and how they can get engaged in its programs and committees. I've already started this work as I made my committee appointments. I deliberately, geographically, racially, gender, everything diversified these committees, and I changed things up so that we can get fresh ideas, new people, and reach out to folks who have not been as engaged, just to get them into our bar. It is our bar, and everybody should have a role in it and an opportunity to be exposed to what it does. It is important that all of our committees and sections not only do their work, but promote the work that they're doing. They're doing a great job. That's the problem. We're doing a great job over here, but nobody outside of us knows what's going on. We're going to have to change that. To communicate this agenda, I have scheduled a meeting with all of the committee chairs and section leaders of the bar on July 22nd. In that meeting, we're going to discuss how, as a mandatory bar, we create a customer service mindset that will help us be more relevant to our members, because our customers are our members. In addition to these efforts, which are all my initiatives, so it's not a lot of new programs, a lot of things that we can do with what we already have in place. I plan to continue to build upon some of the programs created by my predecessors. I plan to continue SOLACE and the suicide prevention programs. I will be adding these programs to our lawyer assistance group so that all of the assistance services that we provide to our members are all housed in one group. And then we staff it. Do you realize we run lawyers assistance with a consultant? There's no actual staff person in place to manage one of the largest benefit programs we offer to our members. And then we're going to be adding SOLACE and suicide prevention programs. We need somebody who's responsible for communicating the existence of these programs to our members and coordinating the delivery of these programs. And that means going out to the members, because the members are not here. You all are representative of the 45,000, 46,000, I think now, members. And we need to let them know what we're doing. Now, we may not get to all 46,000, I got it. But if I get to more than the 5,000 folks who take time to vote, we would have succeeded. And it ought to be reflected in an increase in the participation of voting in elections, because folks at least care. And they'll pay attention to these ballots. I plan to continue to work with our Supreme Court to address their needs, including salary increases for judges and full staffing of the judiciary. We're their mouthpieces. We're the ones who use the system. We know what the problems are. We need to support those judges so that they don't feel they have to leave the judiciary to find a more economically sustainable way to live. These are our desks and our rights. They ought to be paid like that. So I'm fully supportive of those initiatives and doing whatever we can as a bar to be the legs, teeth, mouth, arms for the judiciary to get them to where they need to be. I plan to continue our legislative program, and in a way that our bar is not tagged as the fourth branch of government. Our bar has a long and accomplished history of securing passages of our bar-sponsored bills, legislation recommended by the Advisory Committee on Legislation and brought before you as a board. I will work with our legislative team and our Director of Governmental Affairs to continue our rich legacy in this area. I plan to work in an open and cooperative spirit and manner with my fellow officers and members of the Executive Committee. I also want to work to strengthen the administrative functions of the bar as we transition with our new Executive Director. I'll be showing him the ropes. I've been here 17 years, so at least he's lucky. And the president he's working with has been around long enough to know what's going on and cares enough, and has cared enough to work on every major committee from finance to audit to dealing with personnel programs as the chair of those committees. So together we can do a lot. I actually want to make certain that our state bar communicates more effectively with our satellite offices and their relationships with lawyers across the state are enhanced. This likely is going to require some significant improvements in our computer and technological components. We are way behind the 8 ball when it comes to that. And if any of you all have accessed the remote offices in Tifton and Savannah trying to do your work, you know what I'm talking about. We're going to fix that. We have the funds already in place. I'm not talking about any dues increases for any of these things I'm talking about. I'm talking about using the reserves, using the funds we put in place to handle computer enhancements, using the funds we have in place to deal with even the renovations that we need to make to the 5th floor so that all of the building is lease ready. And we also are going to deal with trying to find parking for future tenants of this space. It's going to be a busy year. I know, I think you hear, those of you who've been on board before know what that means. But I am convinced that if we work together, we can build upon the incredible foundation and legacy, and that we must do better. We just don't need to sit here and hear any more negative news. We need to do something. I'm committed to working with all of you to make the State Bar more responsive to those in need of our services, more engaged with the next generation of citizens, and more beneficial to our members. I hope that you will support me in these efforts. I look forward to us working together. More importantly, I look forward to you coming out and telling me how you can help. Thank you.
And now, it is my distinct privilege to ask Patrise Perkins-Hooker to come and to be sworn in as the 52nd President of the State Bar of Georgia. Congratulations, and I hope you don't have to use it often.
Thank you.
It is also my pleasure to swear in the President of the State Bar of Georgia. It has been my pleasure to swear in 6 previous presidents of the State Bar, and this one, like the others, is important, but it is also historic. So having that in mind, would you raise your right hand, please? Are you ready to take the oath? Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
Or affirm. That I will execute the office of President.
That I will execute the office of President
of the State Bar of Georgia.
of the State Bar of Georgia.
And perform all of the duties.
And perform all the duties
incumbent upon me.
incumbent upon me.
Faithfully and to the best of my ability.
Faithfully and to the best of my ability.
And my understanding.
And my understanding.
And agreeable to the policies.
And agreeable to the policies.
Bylaws, rules, and regulations.
Bylaws, rules, and regulations.
Of the State Bar of Georgia.
Of the State Bar of Georgia.
The laws and Constitution of the State of Georgia.
The laws and Constitution of the State of Georgia.
And the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Good evening. Good evening. Justices of the Supreme Court of Georgia, judges of the Court of Appeals, other members of the judiciary throughout the state, other elected public officials, my fellow state bar officers, the members of the Board of Governors, and members of the State Bar of Georgia, family and friends. Wow. I cannot believe we're here. I am honored to be here, and I want to take just a few minutes, because I know you all will complain, to just publicly recognize and acknowledge several members of my family and friends who joined me for tonight's historical celebration. Because before I got here, I was somebody there, and I am still loved and supported by these folks. When I call your name, please stand and stop. I was doing fine, the first one person I want to introduce you to is my best friend and my husband, Douglas R. Hooker, my rock, who's always been there for me and my family, and I want you to know I love you. I am blessed to have you supposed to stand, please. I am blessed to have my mother, Barbara Tucker, who is sitting in a wheelchair over there, but she's here. And my father, Robert Perkins, who's here with me as well. He was the maestro. I'd also like to acknowledge my stepmother, Chief Perkins. Faster, we don't clock. I've got a lot of family. My sister Denise Perkins Griffith and her husband Shelby Griffith, my brother. My mother-in-law Odessa Hooker, so he's here as well. My brother-in-law David, who you already heard from this evening. My sister-in-law Margaret. Our three nephews, Shelton Griffith, Thomas Perkins, and Joseph Griffith. Please stand, gentlemen. These gentlemen represent the future of our family. I thank you all for being here, and this group can be seated. I'm also blessed with a host of uncles, Anderson and Mose. Mose is taking the pictures. We're walking around here. Anderson won the Bid Wish tournament last night. Aunts Claire, Oretha, BJ, Andrea, and Perline. Cousins PJ, Francis, Darian. Sorority sisters Nicole Adams and Michelle Arrington. Our close friends, Michael and Marlene Rosenthal, came all the way from Fairfax, California. And they've been friends with Doug since high school. One of my mentees, Shayla Bivens, and her family drove up from Jacksonville, Florida. Would you all stand? My next door neighbors and friends, Conchita Robinson and Regine Denise, and friends Deborah Richardson, Harry Vernet, and Stephanie Jones are also here. Thank you all for the roles that you have played in my life. My 2 children and 8 grandchildren were not able to make this trip, but they are in my thoughts tonight as well. I have a really large family, but they're very supportive. And these folks are just representatives of our family. It's bigger than this. I am eternally grateful for your love and your friendship. In addition to my family members, I have dear friends in the profession and their spouses who are here, but there are too many of you to name. So I'm going to ask you all to stand. You all know who you are, who are my friends and your spouses who came down here. Some of you are church members, some of you are neighbors. Please stand up, because I want to give you special recognition. Come on, friends in the profession. And one of the very special persons from this group that I need to call out is Don Jones. He served as a valued advisor, hard-working coordinator of the teams that helped plan this weekend's activity. And Don, where are you? Stand up, stand up. Thank you very much. Now y'all don't have to get upset. It didn't take that long. I want you to know that this is an incredibly wonderful evening. I'm honored and humbled as I stand before you as your 52nd President of the State Bar of Georgia. It is an unbelievable feeling, and it's an unbelievable moment. I am sure my ancestors are smiling down upon me. You see, I'm the 5th generation descendant of people who were involuntarily brought to the Camp Plantation in Lawrenceville, Georgia. My great-grandfather, Henry Kemp Sr., was freed when he was 10 years old. He became a minister, and he moved to downtown Decatur, where he lived to be 103. His daughter, my grandmother, Minnie Newman, walked 6 miles each day from Decatur to David T. Howard High School in Atlanta's Old Fourth Ward, because there was no high school in Decatur for colored youth. She became an entrepreneur and a nurse. My mother, Barbara Newman, attended Spelman College, where she met my father, Albert Perkins, a Morehouse College student from Kentucky. My father's family had been college educated since my great-grandfather. He had taught himself to read and had gone to Kentucky State College. He was the principal of the Western High School for Colored Youth for 42 years. One of his 9 daughters, my grandmother, Florence Perkins, is one of the primary reasons I'm a lawyer here today. She was a librarian at the local elementary school, and every year she boxed up decommissioned and out of circulation books, and she shipped them to my sister, my brother, and I. I was under the impression, just stupid, but I was supposed to read all of those books that she sent me before she sent the next delivery. And so began my love of reading voraciously and rapidly. Every lawyer in this room knows the value of those 2 skills, and I did read hundreds of books a year. I didn't know a lawyer when I was growing up. No one told me I could be a lawyer until I became the captain of the debate team in high school and the regional winner of the bicentennial youth debates way back in 1976 while attending Frederick Douglass High School. That's right, that's from Douglass High School. All right, police. In high school, I was also focused on working in my junior achievement company. In my senior year, I was president. We set all records for profitability and sales for that year at the Buckhead Junior Achievement Center. By virtue of being selected as the Outstanding Young Executive of the Year for all Atlanta Junior Achievement Centers, I received a full 4-year scholarship to Georgia Tech from an anonymous donor. How differently my life would have been but for Junior Achievement and the team. After I graduated from Georgia Tech, I set my goals on getting an MBA, because I thought an MBA would help me become a better business consultant, and that I, a granddaughter of educators and entrepreneurs, would help the minority businesses in Atlanta grow and prosper. Just before I started at Emory, I met a young law student, Kevin Ross, who informed me that minority businesses really needed skilled business lawyers, and he encouraged me to think beyond an MBA and go for a law degree simultaneously. Yet another intervention in my life. After I received my JD MBA from Emory, a highly accomplished, community-minded, and talented lawyer came in to meet me as I interviewed with his partners for a law clerk position. I will never forget the moment. He asked me one simple question: can you write? Literally that a brush. I told him yes, and he offered me the job on the spot. I learned to be an excellent lawyer, a master at client service, and a truly committed public servant leader from Marvin Arrington Sr. 30 years later, he remains my mentor and my friend, and I am extremely grateful for what he taught me by example. He taught me that service was the rent for the space that we occupy here on earth, and he taught me to seek to become a leader in my community and in my profession as a way of giving back. Judge Arrington is here tonight with his daughter Michelle. Judge, would you please stand and be recognized? I want to thank you for coming to witness the return of the investment that you made in me decades ago. I want you to know that I appreciate everything that you taught me. And no, you didn't teach me everything. As he said, everything you taught me, I appreciate it. I have been blessed by an incredible village. But lest you believe that my village was limited to a village of color, let me set the record straight. I am part of that generation where the gates of the villages in the South opened up and one village began to talk to the other. Once again, I was blessed. As my village expanded, Linda Klein saw something in me in 1996. Linda was the first woman president of the State Bar, for those of you who don't remember that history, and she is truly a phenomenal, strategic, and visionary leader. Her efforts literally changed the face of the State Bar in Georgia. Recognizing a need for more diversity in the bar's programs, committees, and activities, she promoted the active outreach to and recruitment of lawyers of color, just like myself. I had been the Gate City Bar Association president at the time, and Linda said, I need you to come work for the State Bar and be on the finance committee. I was a little paranoid and said, finance committee? I don't know anything about the State Bar, and I didn't. And she says, you'll have more degrees and certifications than anybody else on the committee. And she was right. The JD MBA CPA became a member of the Finance Committee 17 years ago, and I've been there since. The following year, in 1997, I successfully ran for election to the Board of Governors that very following year. As I accept this position as your 52nd president, just look at all the shoulders I stand upon. This is not about me today. It's about a progression of history and the people who came before. I stand on the shoulders of numerous African-American lawyers who revolved through the Board of Governors, 2 or 3 at a time, until fairly recently, including 2 African-American lawyers who were elected to the Executive Committee of the Board of Governors before me, William Jenkins and Aisha Mustakim. In fact, if the circumstances and timing had been a little different in his life, I truly believe that William Jenkins might have been the first person of color to have been elected an officer of the State Bar of Georgia. He was a well-respected and dedicated bar leader on the Board of Governors. He was the one to whom I looked up to as a new member on the board. He encouraged me to continue my journey with the bar. William, are you here tonight? Several years later, after my conversation with William, I attended a Board of Governors meeting in Ponte Vedra, Florida, and troubled by the outcome of a contentious executive committee election wherein which a qualified, well-qualified female candidate failed to be elected, I rose to make a comment. After my soliloquy, because it was a little bit lengthy, I received a handwritten note from another great president of the bar, Brian Cather. Brian commended me for the points in my speech, but he called my attention to the real problem. He said the need for more women to run for the executive committee. He issued me a challenge with a great big R-U-N, exclamation point, underline, which I took as a dare to run for the executive committee. That note propelled me not to sit on the sidelines complaining about the lack of participation of women and people of color in elected bar leadership positions. It propelled me to action. I got into the race for membership on the executive committee in 2010, and I won. And the light bulb went off. I had been prepared for this opportunity. I had ideas to share, and I had a legacy to uphold. I began seeking higher levels of leadership responsibility and was elected in 2013 as president-elect of the State Bar of Georgia. And now I'm proud to stand before you as your new bar president. My election as president heralds a new era in the State Bar's history. 60 years after Brown versus the Board of Education, 51 years after the March on Washington, and 50 years after the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This is the era where the seed that Linda climbed is beginning to bear fruit. For 51 years as a mandatory organized bar and 81 years as a voluntary state bar before that, our bar had not demonstrated an openness to all lawyers because the governing body did not reflect anyone of color. Today I stand before you, witness to the fact that leadership of the State Bar of Georgia is open to all lawyers licensed to practice law in Georgia. I tell you this story, especially to younger lawyers in the audience, because we have to remember our history. Don't focus on where I am now. Think about where I got started. We must recognize that we are never on the journey alone. There are always those who open doors, those who teach us invaluable lessons, those who set examples to follow, and those who give us our wings. I am quite clear that I did not get here by myself. Many before me worked hard that I might have this opportunity, this access, and this moment in time. But I'm equally clear that the opportunity means absolutely nothing if you are not willing to take advantage of it and work hard. It has taken me 17 years, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. I have learned the internal workings of the bar in the various capacities. I have worked with some phenomenal staff people over the years, and I have just spent my time preparing myself for today. For my part, I demonstrated my readiness for leadership and proved my worth. I was an active and engaged member of the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys since 1985. I've served as a member, as a leader of the Gate City Bar Association, as I indicated, in 1996. And before I came to the Board of Governors, I accepted leadership of the real property law section of the bar in 2011. I actively participated on each and every committee to which I was assigned. I showed up at meetings and fulfilled my responsibilities as an active member of the committee. The network that I created with the members of these organizations and a few others allowed me to win a statewide position. It did not happen automatically. I am here today because of the faith that people had in me and because of what I demonstrated to them when I was given a chance. I want you to join me and this phenomenal leadership team of officers as we work together to set the stage for the next 50 years of leadership in the bar. During my year as president, as I told some people this morning, I would like to emphasize 3 areas. We will be reaching out to those in our community who are underserved through a combination of programs designed to increase the access to legal services by people in need. These people need to see and believe that our legal system is of value to them personally and that we as lawyers care about ensuring that everyone has access to legal services. Also during my term, the State Bar, in conjunction with the Younger Lawyers Division, will be lending lawyer volunteers on a pilot program with some of our school systems throughout the state to try to introduce the iCivics program in Georgia. The iCivics program is designed to reinforce the understanding of middle and high school students about their obligations as citizens in our country. And hopefully they too have the opportunity to be leaders in our bar and in our community. And we will also be reaching out to lawyers throughout the state to encourage all members of our profession to take an interest in and get involved in our state bar. That's all members of our profession. Along the way, I hope to use some of my business skills to work with the new executive director of the bar to improve and enhance the technology and customer service functions of our bar. We have a full year of exciting work ahead of us. I need your help and your prayers. As we set forth to work for the benefit of all Georgia lawyers, together we will elevate the State Bar of Georgia and continue to advance the cause of justice. As I stand before you today, on the shoulders of so many, I am asking you to join me and get involved. There is plenty of room at the table for everyone. I truly thank you for this opportunity to serve and for being with me here tonight to share in this moment of history. Thank you.